Okay, hey, let's get into it. Okay, so we're back and we're talking about this Trump hush money trial. Now, I know for me, I'm just like trying to figure out why it is so important that we're hearing about this Trump murder or not murder, hush money trial. I just don't understand why it's so important that it has to be this big spectacle. I'm just trying to understand because there are other parapolitical things that are in our face that should be having a lot of attention, like the border crisis, like the environmental crisis, like the homelessness crisis. The economy is a shit show. And also, there are other countries, not just the wars, but Europe is going through it right now as well with, you know, what they're going through. The royals are going through a lot of stuff. I mean, and it just seems like out of place. I don't know. I just feel like this is being thrown in our face to distract us from some other things. Now, I understand that he has Donald Trump like has some issues with the way that he was moving before, and some of those things are being put under trial. But I don't understand why we should care that this man slept around on his wife. Like I don't. I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care. And not only that, they're saying, "Oh, well, he paid her to not say anything." So what? I don't care. Like in the grand scheme of things, do you think that that matters more? Him paying her to shut up about them sleeping together, which was consensual sex. She's not saying that he forced her to do anything. She never said that. So then why are we hearing about this? It would be different. It would be a completely different conversation if he told her, if he had her under duress, or if he coerced her in some, if there was some type of deception to get her, to sleep with him. Just because he said he didn't care about his wife and they were sleeping, I look frown down on that. I do. I think that you should be faithful to your spouse. You should be devoted. But why is that any of our business? I don't understand. And this trial is being paraded in front of us like we have to care. I almost feel like they are trying to tell us what to care about. But this is not the most important thing that we should be talking about right now. That's all I'm saying. So I'm just confused as to why this is such a big deal. So we're going to get into kind of some of the things Donald Trump is going through right now. Let's look at what's on the table for him. Okay. So right now, let me see. He is. Let's look at all these different cases that he's fighting right now. So he has four cases. This is Politico.com. So he's facing the federal election interference case. Um, Now, this is also kind of goes back to January 6th. The Georgia election interference, this comes from Fannie Willis. I know we've been hearing about that. The classified documents case, which the judge just recently indefinitely, he just indefinitely deferred that trial. And then now we are here with this hush money case. And we're going to go into it, but I just don't understand why it's so important that this is being shoved down our throats. Starting on April 15, 2024, Trump took a detour from the campaign trail to face his first criminal trial in Manhattan, where he is accused of falsifying business records in connection with a payoff to Stormy Daniels, a porn star who claimed she had a sexual encounter with him. By buying Daniels' silence, a payoff avoided a possible sex scandal in the final weeks of the 2016 presidential campaign. Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney and fixer at the time. Okay, so let me ask you something. Um, was she asking for any money? Like, was she trying to extort? Is that what was happening? And that he paid it, or I'm just confused. Well, let's just continue. The payoff avoided a possible sex scandal in the final weeks of the last campaign. Michael Cohen, Trump's personal attorney and fixer at the time, paid $130,000 to Daniels in October 2016, according to prosecutors, While Trump was in the middle, while Trump was in the White House, he reimbursed Cohen in a series of installment payments processed by Trump's attorney. Prosecutors say Trump fraudulently disguised those installments as corporate legal expenses in violation of New York law. Okay, so on March 30th, 2023, a Manhattan grand jury voted to indict Trump. 5 days later, local prosecutors unveiled the criminal charges: 34 felony counts of violating a New York law on corporate record keeping. Trump's defense team unsuccessfully pushed for dismissal of the charges, alleging that the district attorney selectively targeted the former president in a delayed and politically motivated prosecution, which I have to say I'm leaning towards that, because of all the trials that are those other three seem way more serious, but this trial is just like, he didn't even get this type of madness and charges when he lied on his taxes. Like, he didn't even get this type of like smoke when he was doing that. Writing that these allegations strained cruelly, um, writing that these allegations strained credulity, whatever. Justice Juan Merchan denied the motion to dismiss. Merchan also imposed a gag order on Trump, restricting him from publicly commenting on likewise witnesses. That's going to bother me. Credulity. Okay, strained credulity. Merchan also imposed a gag order on Trump, restricting him from publicly commenting on likely witnesses, jurors, and other people involved in the case. After the trial began, the judge twice held Trump in criminal contempt and fined him a total of $10,000 for violating the gag order 10 times. The judge threatened jail time for additional violations. Now, I must say that if you have a gag order, you have to, if you're already under a microscope, like, just chill. So he has 34 felony counts, falsifying business records in the first degree. So that's a serious charge. Like, you can't say, um, I'm paying for business office. I'm paying for my office to get remodeled, but really you out on vacation. Like, this is similar to that. So I get that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just say what it was for. And if you're saying that this was for whatever he had it categorized under, I don't see, yeah, that's not gonna work. So let's look at the strengths of the case. Cohen, who paid Daniels and was allegedly embarrassed by Trump, has turned against his former boss. Well, so did Mike Pence. So, I mean, that's a bunch of people that turned on Trump. But Trump was acting a whole nut job in the White Office. He fired a bunch of people in his cabinet when he first got up in there. So I don't know what type of loyalty he thinks he's gonna actually get back, because he embarrassed Omarosa. I mean, people can say what they want to say, but she wasn't the only one that he embarrassed like that. When it was time for them to leave, he embarrassed Steve Bannon, but Steve Bannon is still by his side. He's been held in contempt by Congress, and they already, right now to this day, trying to suggest that he has to serve jail time for not speaking out on Trump. Cohen, who paid Daniels, was allegedly reimbursed by Trump, has turned against his former boss as a star witness for the prosecution. He is expected to testify that Trump directed the hush money arrangement. Prosecutors have evidence of other hush money payments that Trump arranged to cover up damaging stories in the run-up to the 2016 election that suggests a coordinated effort to help his campaign rather than merely avoid personal embarrassment. A key issue that could determine whether the Daniels payoff violated election law. Tabloid publisher David Pecker testified early in the trial that he executed 2 such arrangements in service of Trump's campaign. That's That's damaging. And they're talking about this as a strength. Okay. In rejecting Trump's motion to dismiss, the judge lowered the bar for the underlying crime element of the felony charges by affirming the prosecution's argument that Trump does not have to be convicted of the underlying crime for the charges to stand. Rather, it is his intent to commit those other crimes that carries the day, the judge wrote. So, if Trump does not have to be convicted of the underlying crime for these charges to stand. So basically, what they're saying that he doesn't have to be convicted of election, mishandling, um, in order to be brought up and convicted of these charges, which is the hush money trial. But their argument is that he used it to mishandle his election. But if the argument is that he paid her so that she can not, you know, mess up the election, then you would have to prove that. Like, what do you mean that it that doesn't matter? It's basically what they're arguing is it doesn't matter. And the judge is like, it is his, it is his intent to commit those other crimes that carries the day. So did he do it? So y'all have to prove that. So weaknesses in the case, elevating the business record charges into felonies by linking them to an underlying federal election violation would be a novel legal theory that would test the interaction of state and federal laws. Trump attorney Todd Blanche has portrayed the Daniels payoff as a private matter intended to protect Trump's family and brand. He also argued the former president paid Cohen only for legitimate legal services and had no personal involvement in how his organization recorded the payments to Cohen. Even if Trump is convicted, he is unlikely to face any prison time at the felony level. Falsifying business records carries a sentence of up to 4 years in prison, but first-time offenders, particularly in nonviolent cases, often receive probation instead. So, yeah, so basically, so who could pardon him? Because falsifying business records is a state crime. Only the governor of New York could pardon him. Alvin Bragg is the district attorney, Todd Blanche and Susan Nichols. Now, remember, Trump fired a bunch of people. He not only fired the people in this cabinet and this attorney, obviously, but he also fired other attorneys. Remember, and then some of the attorneys also quit. Ivanka and Jared Kushner are no longer helping him in this election. So, I can only imagine the things that he's going through. I mean, this man is still a human being. He's going through a lot. And I know it sounds like I'm sympathetic, but I just look at the human aspect of it. I feel like we can't lose that. We can't lose sight of that. We can't lose sight that this is a human going through. I mean, he's having a very, very, very hard time. Even if some of these things were initiated or brought on by him, it seems like a lot that he's piling on. And here's the thing, my interest in this and my investment in this is if they can do this to a former or legacy incumbent, then the proletariat is up for grabs. I mean, we are all sitting ducks if the bigger picture is that if the narrative doesn't go the way interests in leadership want them to go, we too will be dragged like this through the mud. And a lot of us don't have the money he has to keep fighting. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's bad for the country. It's bigger than he's bad for the country. If you don't go along with the narrative, that could be dangerous for you and your family. Like who wants to live like that? That's officially oppression. Let's look at this video here really quick before we get off of here. All right, so here we go.
Here in Manhattan for the second day of testimony by Donald Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen. Prosecution wrapped up its questioning of their star witness after he shared with the court his regrets. In talking about his old boss, Cohen told the jury, quote, "To keep the loyalty and to do things that he has asked me to do, I violated my moral compass, and I suffered the penalty, as did my family." It was then the defense's turn to cross-examine Cohen and paint him as a liar, vengeful, and flippant, qualities that Trump put to good use when Cohen was an employee. Lawyers asked Cohen about comments he made in 2015 praising Trump, asking if Cohen was telling the truth then. The witness said yes, but that at the time he was, quote, knee-deep in the cult of Trump. Cohen was also on trial outside the courtroom, too. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson traveled to New York to attack Cohen and the prosecution and the judge, lending a hand to Trump, who is barred by a gag order from saying such things. Also showing their loyalty, two of Trump's former challengers in the presidential primary sat behind him in court as a show of support. CBS News campaign reporter and attorney Katrina Kaufman joins me now. Katrina has been covering every inch of this trial. Okay, Katrina, if there's a boxes that the prosecution has to check with the Michael Cohen testimony, what are they, and did they check those boxes?
The biggest boxes they need to check is that he is the one who can really tie Trump into this with certain key meetings and conversations that they had. And they actually seem to do a very good job, because up until now, they had been laying out this case with all of these witnesses, and then with story we'd seen many times. So they were bringing up exhibits that we'd seen with Keith Davidson, for example, the former attorney for Stormy Daniels, and other people, and it really corroborated Cohen's story. But then what he brought was these key moments. We saw call logs where he had called Donald Trump between different moments of this agreement, and then he was the only one who can really tell us what happened on those calls, and that was him keeping Trump informed, he said, Trump signing off on things that were happening. We also learned about a meeting that happened with Trump, Alan Weisselberg, and Michael Cohen. He says that they laid out how this was going to work, the amount that Cohen would be paid back, and that it was going to be called for legal expenses related to a retainer agreement, as well as a later meeting that he had with Trump at the White House. And there's a record of it in his phone logs, which we got through some of our data experts. And so you can see that he was meeting Trump at the White House. There was a photo of him from that day, and he said that Trump asked him if he needed money and said that his check for January and February would be coming at that meeting.
Does the prosecution have to show that Trump knew that this was going on, or that he was actively saying, please cook these books on my behalf?
They just have to show that he aided and had knowledge of this happening. So he doesn't have to be the one who actually falsified the records, but he has to have had knowledge that it was happening, that these payments were not, in fact, for legal expenses to Michael Cohen, that they were really paying him back for the Stormy Daniels payoff, and that they really showed us through so many ways, even Trump's own books and words, what a micromanager he was at the company, and how unlikely it is that all of this would have been going on and that he wouldn't have had any sense that Michael Cohen was being paid money that he shouldn't have been paid.
So the defense got a shot at Cohen. What was that like, and how long is that likely to last?
It was surprisingly calm, I would say. Cohen stayed very collected, but right out the gate, Todd Blanche, Trump's attorney, started off with something profane that I won't actually say on television, that Cohen had said about Blanche, the attorney, on TikTok. And apparently there was actually a sidebar, which I just read on the way here, where the judge said, why are you making this about you? Because he had kind of insulted the attorney. But really, they're trying to undercut Cohen's credibility, his motivation, to show how he was really quite loyal and obsessed with Trump for a long time. They even brought back him saying previously that Trump had the best memory, that everything he said was accurate. And Cohen said that at the time he was knee-deep in the cult of Trump. So they are doing everything they can. Also, of course, bringing up his history as a liar. We know that Michael Cohen has perjured himself on the stand. So they're presenting all of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and not just on the stand. Michael Cohen has been with Trump for a long time. And allegedly, I've heard information about how this man has been doing this for a long time. So now this is something that you want to speak to? I mean, I feel like this is all political, and this all is a political slant to it. Like, because they don't care about Stormy Daniels. Are you serious? Or do you think they care about what Trump is doing with his personal business? Because they didn't care about that before the election. This is being funded by probably the current incumbent and the whole DNC. I don't know. This is just alleged. This is just my conjecture. I think the whole DNC has something to do with this. And I don't know. I feel like, again, at the end of the day, this is because he didn't do what he was exactly as he was supposed to do, because he did some stuff. Like, he does stuff. He's in bed with people right now that I do not agree with. I don't. But he must have didn't do everything the way he was supposed to do it. So let's finish the rest of this.
To the jury to make them feel like maybe they shouldn't believe what Michael Cohen says about Donald Trump's involvement in the scheme.
And just as a super quick reminder, all they need is one, right? To convince one juror that he maybe isn't on the level.
Yes, every juror has to be convinced beyond a reasonable doubt of the prosecution's case.
Right. Katrina Kaufman, thank you as always.
Thank you.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon. And you
look, with the fact that Michael Cohen is such a shady character, it's gonna be interesting to see if they convince all the jurors that this man is on the level. Like, I mean, if I was a juror sitting on there, just because I follow this kind of stuff, I would be like, it just speaks to the character. And I'm sure that, this is just day 2 of this trial, but I feel like they're going to bring his character into question at some point, and that would be a smart move, because then it's going to plant those seeds like, well, what's happening here? Is it that you lied before and you perjured yourself on the stand, or are you doing that now? Like, because that right there is the seed of doubt, and all you need is just one small seed of doubt. Because I think that this trial is ridiculous. I think that this should be thrown out, and the taxpayers are paying for this, fam. We are paying for this stupid shit that they're parading all on TV, right? We have to pay for the prosecutor. We have to pay now. In New York, they're paying for this. I'm not in New York, but still, the taxpayers, this is a federal case. We're still paying for it in some way or another. And we should be able to have a say in saying, I don't want to pay for bullshit trials, and there's a bunch of people that need to be tried fairly, and they're sitting here waiting because of this politically charged trial that doesn't need to be clogging up the legal system. The other things that he's that he's indicted on, that he's currently facing. Well, we know that classified documents case has been indefinitely basically shut down. The other 2 is the Georgia election interference case, which Fani Willis, hopefully, she has everything that she needs, because she already got dealt a bad blow with her and that prosecutor. And then there's the federal election interference case with him. Most presidents can say that they don't feel that, the election was fair. I don't understand why it's a big deal when he said it. I just don't get that, But what do you guys think? Do you think that it's fair? Like, if one of us was to say, okay, well, I don't agree with this, and then all of a sudden there's this whole media machine after us just because we don't agree, or we don't follow the narrative that's being laid out. Do you think that's fair? Even if you don't like somebody in America, as Americans, do you think that that's fair, that you're railroaded just because you don't go with the narrative? And The narrative isn't incorrect. The narrative isn't wrong. It's not like you want to kill everything breathing or you want to um, cause harm to people. Do you think that that's fair, that you're muted or that you are sabotaged just because you don't want to do everything that the leadership of this country, some interest within the leadership realm, just because you don't want to do what they want you to do? I think that that is disturbing. I mean, that's really the most disturbing part for me, is that watching all of this and people are just so emotional about Trump going down or even Biden going down, that they're not understanding that this isn't just about them. These are two figureheads that they're dragging through the mud, that this can be any other individual that don't have the type of power or pull or connections or networks to really pull from and help assist in a time when we need it. I don't know. Get in the comments and please answer the question. What do y'all think? Do y'all think that this is fair? Do y'all think that this should be able to happen to every single person in America? Because when we say yes, that's what we're saying yes to. And when we're saying no, we saying everybody deserves a fair shot at the legalese. All right. See you guys later. Bye.